Rahmatullah. Welcome to you, my dear students, in the translating text types. This lecture is the last lecture, which is lecture number 14, and it will be just some general revision of what we have just overviewed in the theoretical part of this lecture. So this is general revision. We are talking about, translating text types. We are talking about three elements: translating and text and types. Now we have the word translating, which is translation, rendering, and so on, meaning and thoughts from one language to another. We have text, and we have the type of that text. Now, it's important to know the text and its type so that you can follow some certain suitable strategies to translate that text in the suitable way to be rendered to the other language. So as you see, this is the opposing forces that Newmark says pull the translation activities on opposite directions. We have the text in the middle, and we have some opposing directions, opposing forces. Let me say, look, number one, source language writer. Number two, source language norms. Number three, source language culture. Number four, source language setting and tradition. Number five, target language leadership. Number six, target language norms. Number seven, target language culture. Number eight, target language setting and tradition. And number nine, the truth, the facts of the matter. And number 10, the translator, who is you. Okay, so these are the dynamics of a translation, as Newmark suggests or says, or according to Newmark. As you see, SL, that means source language, TL, that means target language. This is, a text is the most important, the text which is, let me say, the core of our, research here. Okay, let's go. What does translation mean? Now we have some scholars who talked about translation. The term translation can refer to, now this is Monday, this is what Monday says. The term translation can refer to what? General subject field, the product, the text that had been translated, the process, the act of producing the translation, and so on. Okay, what does translation mean as well? We have many authors try to define translation. Look at Newmark. He says, rendering the meaning of a text, rendering and meaning, transferring meaning, translating meaning of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. Now it's important to think of the author's mind, the man or the person who says that text or who writes that text. You have to think of his ideas or of his way of thinking, so that you can translate that in a way that will make people who read your translation understand that and get to the point of the writer or the author or the generator of the text. Author, that means it is the originator of the generator of the text, whether it is oral or written. Oral, that's what you say. It is a text. How are you? Where are you from? This is a text. That's what you are saying. And written, what you write. You may write an essay. You may write, for example, a book. Hopefully, these are texts, and you can translate that, into another language, whatever that language is. Okay, let's go to other one. What does translation mean? This is Breslin, 1976. Translation is the general term referring to the transfer of thoughts and ideas. فيها transfer. Look, the key word, transfer, meaning, transfer thoughts and ideas from one language to another. From language, which is the source language, to another, which is the target language. Now, if you translate from English to Arabic, the English language is the source in this case, and the Arabic is the target language. If the text was written in Arabic language, and would like to translate that from Arabic to English, so Arabic language is the source language and English language is the target language. Whether the languages are in written or oral form. Now, Some languages are not written languages so far. You find some languages are not written languages so far. Until now, there are some languages which are just spoken between people, and they don't have those symbols that we call characters or letters. So it is just oral, and you can also translate those the oral language. Okay, whether the languages have whether the languages are in written oral form or oral form, whether the languages have established orthographies or do not have such standardization, or whether one or both languages is based on signs. Maybe some languages do base on signs, as with sign languages of the deaf. You know, the deaf people who can't hear you. So when you would like to render them a meaning, or to say to them something, to let them understand you, and to make access to your life easily, you will use the signs. Come, go, no, yes, okay, and so on. These are signs. And you know, some languages, you know, so there is certain language for deaf, which is in signs, and deaf people now can access to many sorts of knowledge by using these signs. And thanks to those who have just, you know, standardized that language of signs to make it easy for deaf to access to life and to get knowledge, and then you may get higher education knowledge. Let's see. Also, this is a translate by Fargal. I told you before, he's a good he's an excellent translator. Translation is often regarded as a project for transferring meaning from one language to another. Transferring meaning. That's rendering meaning, transferring meaning, transfer of thoughts. Okay, I'm sorry. Transfer of thoughts and ideas. We're talking about transferring meaning from one language to another. This is the core idea of what we call translation. Now, all other ideas or things related to this is something, you know, which comes like details we need. Details we need. But the most important or keywords of this is what? Transfer and meaning. There are two. All the previous mentioned definitions of the term translation talk about two keywords. The first one, transfer, and the second one, meaning. Let's see. Related basic definitions, and as you know, source text, ST, the text requiring translation. You have a text in English. You want to translate this text into Arabic. Now, the text in English is a source text. The text requiring translation. This text in English, somebody says to you, please translate this text, which is in English, into Arabic language. Now, the text which is in between your hands now is the source text. It is in English. Now, target text, the text which is a translation of the source text. Now, the target text, when you have translated that text into Arabic language, that text is the target text. Okay, source language. Now, this text is in English language. So, the English language here is the source language. The language in which the source text is written. The source text is written in this language, which is the English language. So, the English language here is the source text. Now, target language. I'm sorry, source language. Target language. The target language, TL, is the language to which the source text is translated. So that text, which is the Arabic text, which is the target text, is written in Arabic language, which is the target language. What is strategy in a translation? We talked about strategies. You have to follow some certain strategies to translate texts. By, you know, these strategies will lead you to find a good or excellent translation. Like strategy that all the translators overall plan. You know, strategy. There is a planning in a strategist. You know what you are doing. There is a map inside your mind, a map that will lead you step by step to formulate a target text which is suitable and clear. Okay, the translator's overall plan consisting of a set of strategic decisions taken after an initial reading of the source text, but before starting detailed translation. Now, we are talking about, you just have an idea about, you read the text and you determine this text is what, for example, argumentative. This text is what is expressive. This text is what is informative. Now, when you determine that, you put in your mind initially, before getting to detailed translation, the strategy that you are going to use to translate that text. The suitable strategy for example, informative is logic, because we are talking about facts, we are talking about reference work, and so on. Look at this, translation studies. What is translation studies? It is that, field of knowledge which deals with all the environment of translation. Deals with the translator, with the tools, with the texts, with the text types, and so on. So look at the translation studies may be divided into two main streams, or to two main types: pure translation studies and applied translation studies. Now, the pure translation studies is theoretical and descriptive. The theoretical is general and partial. The partial, no, look, it is medium restricted, area restricted, rank restricted, text type restricted. You're talking about text type. So I just mentioned that for you, just to see our location as, or this course, translating text types, location in that vast field of translation study. So text types restricted and time restricted, problem restricted, and so on. You can look also at descriptive, pure translation studies like product oriented, process oriented, function oriented. Now, translation studies applied like translator training, translation aids, translation criticism. So these are the most important aspects of what we call translation studies and the location of what we call text types, our course here in this diagram. Okay, let's go. All text type, are all those texts of the same text type? When you just have a look at many texts from many different sources of knowledge, are all those texts of the same text type? Can you translate all of them following the same strategy? Can you translate the Holy Quran, for example, into English following the same strategy that you are translating an advertisement? Absolutely no. You are to follow some certain strategy when translating each text type into English or into Arabic. Let's see. It's obvious. This is something, or quotation told by Frisberg, 1998, and you can go back to the references to see the whole, the whole name, title of this author, and the name of the author as well, and maybe in the initial or of the introductory lecture. Yeah, it is obvious that not all texts are the same type. We may distinguish between political texts, legal texts, and medical texts. Fairy tales, novels, and short stories differ from newspaper reports, essays, and scientific papers. Food recipes, instructions, booklets, and advertisements may show similarities, but they are not the same. So texts are not the same. They differ from each other. So the strategies or the ways you are using to translate each text is maybe different from the other, or must be different from, not maybe, must be different from the other. Okay, then, you know, there may be some joint strategies or similar strategies, but in general you have to take care or to pay attention to the text types when you are translating into some certain text from one language to another. Okay, where have I just reached? The same. Okay, expository texts differ from argumentative texts, etc. All these types of text differ in ways that are somewhat obvious intuitively, but which nevertheless invite detailed analysis. Okay. Text type, Catherine Rice views text rather than the word or sentence as the level at which communication is achieved and at which equivalence must be sought. So now Catherine Rice suggests that the text is the most important, not the sentence, not the word. So you have to read the text, all the text, so that you can translate it in the right way. Then you can come to each sentence by sentence and word by word. But the most important, she views that the text, rather than the word or sentence, is the level at which communication is achieved. Now, it's okay about communication, but also, and at which equivalence must be sought. That equivalence, that means, you know, to seek for equivalence, to seek for the meaning of this whole text in the other language. This is what Catherine Rice suggests. Text type classifications. Yahya and Mason, 1990, classified text types according to their rhetorical purposes. You see, Yahya and Mason, rhetorical purposes. It is not talking about some other thing, like argumentative, expositive, and instruction-based. We have three major things by Yahya and Mason. Now, Basil Yahya and Ian Mason are both good scholars or excellent scholars in translation. They divide instructional texts, you know, into two types: instruction without option and instruction with option. Instruction without option includes texts such as laws. One is required to follow the instructions law, for instance, otherwise they may be a punishment. You know, they both try to to present their view about perceiving texts, and they just depend on the rhetorical purposes of the texts in dividing the texts into three main types: argumentative, expositive, and instruction-based texts. Let's go. Text type classifications. Also, we're talking about Newmark. Depends on Bohler's functions of language to deal with the text type. According to Bohler's, there are three language functions: expressive, informative, vocative. Now, the expressive, serious, imaginative literature, authoritative statements, autobiography, essays, and personal correspondence. And the most important idea, or it is talking about, or it is expressing the originator of the text or the writer of the text. Now, the informative core idea is the topic of the knowledge. Talking about the knowledge, the facts, texts, technical report, scientific paper, or agenda of a meeting. It's talking about facts, realities. So it's talking about knowledge. So when you translate such a text, you don't need to think of rendering some certain feelings. You just render words and facts and realities and knowledge on the topic, rather than concentrating on the form of the language. Vocative, it is not as the publicity, propaganda, persuasive writing, and advertisements. This vocative type, the core thing of it is what is the readership, people who are reading. And look at this good and excellent idea that Hatem and Newmark just presented, that few texts are purely expressive, informative, or vocative. Few texts. Now, but most include all three functions, with an emphasis on one of the three. Okay, that's good. That's a good idea. Okay, let's see Rice. What does she say about the text types? She also depended on Bohler's classification of text type: informative, expressive, and operative. Now, informative, the language function is what? Informative, representing objectives and facts. Now, the language dimension is logical. The text focused, content focused. The target text should what? Should transmit referential content. Translation method, plain prose explicitation as required. Now look at the expressive. The language function of the is expressive. It expressing sender's attitudes. Now the language dimension is aesthetic. Aesthetic, it concentrates on how you like that, as a form of language. Now text focus, it focuses on form text, form focused text. Target language or target text should what? Transmit aesthetic form. Translation method, identifying method, adopt perspective of source text author. And at last we have the operative text type, which language function is appellative, making appeal to text receiver. Language dimension is dialogic, and text focus is appellative focused. Target text should elicit desired response. Translation method is adaptive equivalent effect. Text type and genre. This is, genre and text type are the same. The term text type is often used in a similar sense of genre. Dickens, Harvey, and Higgins opted for using the term genre instead of text type, and Dickens, Harvey, and they distinguished 5 broad categories of genre. There are literary, religious, philosophical, empirical, and persuasive genre. So Dickens and his friends, they concentrate on genre, or they talk about the genre in the same or in the similar sense of talking about the text type. So you won't find the word text type as a main headline in the book of James Dickens. You will find it as genre and some related, definitions about that. Before beginning to translate a text, what should you do? You need to ask yourself the following important question. The first one: what is the message content of this particular source text? So you have to ask yourself about each. What are its salient linguistic features? What are its principal effects? What genre does it belong to? And what audience is it aimed at? What are the functions and the intended audience of my translation? You can ask yourself these questions just to let yourself be on the track and to lead, your translation to a successful result. And I think we have just finished our course, finished our lecture today. Hoping you all the best and hoping you to succeed in your life and to be good translators. Thank you so much, and see you inshallah in other course.